With nearly every passing day, the situation seems to be deteriorating for Drake and anyone associated with him. Following Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us officially debuting at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, the animosity towards Drake has grown larger than ever. With each moment that passes and Kendrick's successful album making a greater impact, it's becoming one of the most significant musical moments in years. Not only is it directly tarnishing Drake's image and forever marring his public perception through scathing criticisms and memorable quotes, but it's also erasing some of Drake's most coveted musical achievements in the modern era. In Drake's track, Push-Ups, he claimed that no matter what Kendrick Lamar achieves numerically, he will never surpass him. This seems to be just another in the many missteps Drake has made in this feud, which is aging horribly as Kendrick Lamar dominates the charts like few other rappers have done before. At the same time, given everything Drake has done himself, it's evident that all the scrutiny and hatred directed towards him at this moment are hitting him in a way that, in addition to changing the public perception of him in the eyes of millions, will alter the trajectory of his entire career forever. While we don't know the full consequences of this feud, what we do know is that Drake has been wounded in a way that will change how he acts and, consequently, how he makes music. Just to put into perspective the absolutely historic career Kendrick Lamar is having at this moment, where for years Kendrick remained the most acclaimed and respected rapper of our time while Drake was the most popular and commercially successful, now Kendrick has crossed into Drake's territory as he's been on an absolute quest to dismantle some of Drake's most coveted records. In just the first days of Not Like Us release, Kendrick broke the record for the most streamed solo rap song in a single day, taking it from Drake's 2021 album opener, Certified Lover Boy Champagne Poetry. Additionally, he broke the record for the most streamed rap song in a single day, again taking it from Drake, but this time from their little collaboration Girls Want Girls. Considering the peculiar theme of this track, it makes Kendrick surpassing this song even more remarkable. Beyond these achievements, Not Like Us became the fastest rap song to reach 100 million streams, doing so in just 9 days, dethroning what was previously held by Drake's God's Plan. With all these Kendrick milestones, he has now secured the strongest solo hip-hop song on the Billboard Hot 100 of the entire 2020 decade. After facing off with some of the most anticipated diss tracks of all time, Kendrick has just trampled over Drake and shattered many of the milestones that allowed him to boast about how strong his numbers are. While we don't yet know how this will affect Drake's future music, he can no longer act as if he's untouchable at the top spot because, as we've just seen, with Kendrick coming in hot in his own lane, what he's achieved has been significantly challenged by his biggest rival. Kendrick simply destroyed some of Drake's records that were once considered unbeatable by a significant margin. With all of this weighing down on Drake, everyone has been watching his every move to see what he does next. While Drake hasn't released any new music since his laughable response to Kendrick with The Hard Part 6, he has been active again on his social media. The most revealing thing he's done was posting on his story saying, "Good times. Summer vibes ahead," with an image showing a samurai against a whole army. It seemed like Drake was referring to the fight he's had with Kendrick and many other major players in the music industry. While we all know this has been anything but a good time for Drake, he's trying once again to spin the narrative and make the absolute horror show that has rained down on his career not seem as bad. By calling it good times and saying summer vibes ahead, it seems like Drake is leading us to believe that he'll have new music coming that isn't about dissing Kendrick or driven by any intense lyrical jabs. Instead, he'll just give us the melodic and fun Drake that has given us many of the most memorable hits of the last decade. If Drake continues with this fight that turned out to be an absolute disaster for him with music like this, it might redefine Drake's image, but it will only make Kendrick's designs hit even harder and seem more like a success, as he said he likes Drake with the melodies and wants him to make more music in this lane instead of trying to present himself as a tough guy, which we all know he isn't. And perhaps Drake has realized this too because recently, one of Drake's biggest cheerleaders, and an almost unofficial member of OVO, said during his live stream that he spoke with Drake directly and was told that he's not done yet when it comes to going against Kendrick Lamar. Now, between someone who has spoken with Drake repeatedly on this issue and has had direct insight into his next move, telling us that he's still coming for Kendrick, but at the same time, Drake is posting and acting as if he's moving past this issue. Even beyond the scope of the dispute, by casually posting photos and acting as if nothing is happening, Drake is altering his career forever. The way Drake has been speaking in the shadows compared to the public image he's trying to portray again. The only thing that's very clear about all of this confusion is that Drake is in a state of limbo right now where he's completely lost and doesn't even know how to come back from what Kendrick Lamar has done to him. Because no matter which route he takes, even he knows at this point that he won't be able to escape all the controversy surrounding his name and the humiliation Kendrick has subjected him to. From being called out as a liar for saying things like Kendrick's business manager, Dave Free, is the father of his child, to claiming he gave Kendrick false information and then being proven a liar about this by a mysterious Twitter user who has been telling the world he knows even more information that will ruin Drake's image, and he's holding back. Drake has been brought back down to earth by being called out on the ridiculous ways he tried to duel lyrically against Kendrick Lamar. And while with someone like Pusha T, when Drake lost, he could still maintain his image and success because he could hold his head high about his numbers that Pusha T simply couldn't match. No matter how effective his critiques were and how good the music he was releasing against Drake, with Kendrick Lamar now beating Drake at his own game by having multiple records that have surpassed Drake's in streaming and on the charts, he can't even use the angle he's gone to over and over again to fight against his enemies and stand firm against everyone else. And as this is no longer an option for Drake, he's somehow left without an identity, no matter how much he tries to tell us otherwise. We no longer know if it's the streamers telling us that Drake is doing great or his own Instagram stories that are trying so hard to convey to us that Drake is above all the drama and controversy, as he was most recently seen in Turks and Caicos with an NBA player who was in Cancun after a playoff loss. When you read the room of this situation and compare Drake's cocky energy before this issue with the softer, more passive way he speaks and moves in general now, despite his best efforts to tell us otherwise, it's clear that something is clearly wrong with Drake, and this is because of what's happening with Kendrick Lamar. Even beyond public opinion, the numbers have also been against him. And as his decade-long reign of topping the charts and breaking all records is being replaced by a song that attacks him like nothing else has, when we look at all of this from Drake's perspective, seeing a rapper simply annihilate his brand to the point where he's losing in places he was always expected to win, social media platforms, the opinions of top streamers and hip-hop media, and of course, the charts, with all of this crumbling as we speak, the guy who has built the past decade of his life on optics and perception is completely shattered. For the first time in his entire career, Drake has not only lost by taking shortcuts and underestimating his opponents, but he has also lost the battle with the one thing he always thought he would have on his side in a world where millions always line up to listen and applaud anything he drops. And now, no longer being the guy who rules the charts, who is the fan favorite, and who can never do wrong by mass audiences, the Drake brand somehow doesn't make sense for Aubrey Graham anymore, and as a result, he's at a point where in the foreseeable future, he will remain completely lost. While rappers have bounced back from some horrible setbacks in the past, the artist we once knew and loved called Drake has been consumed by this superficial brand whose sole purpose is to sell the most records by doing the least. Who knows if he'll ever be able to pivot from all of this and redefine everything about himself as we know it. I think when we look at this issue and see how it's affecting not only Drake, but also J. Cole, considering the way Kendrick clashed with them will make these two rappers rethink how they'll make music in the future. Drake can no longer claim to be the best with the numbers, and Cole can't say he'll smoke every other rapper alive. It's truly incredible how with just 5 tracks, Kendrick Lamar was able to revolutionize the game to the point where the two most important rappers by his side have to reconsider how they'll approach music in the future. So, let me know what you think about Kendrick Lamar destroying Drake's records and surpassing his success, and how you think this will affect Drake in the future. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this and Drake's downfall. Subscribe if you think Lamar ended up with Drake. See you, my legend.